When the world is in chaos with a decision that you too need to make, which energy do you choose? Hey, it's Heather Chauvin, wife, mother of 3 boys, former social worker, breadwinner, recovering hustler, and stage 4 cancer survivor. I'm not a fan of that term, by the way. Beyond all of these titles and labels, I'm a human being, just like you, attempting to navigate it all while feeling good. My goal on this podcast is to show you that you can live an energized, sustainable life, both at home and in your work. It doesn't matter if you stay at home full-time, if you work from home, you're a CEO, a successful business owner, or trying to find some inspiration. On this show, I attempt to keep it real with stories, interviews, and random thoughts. This is not a business or career podcast, and it's not a parenting podcast. It's both and so much more. You will laugh. You may even cry, and you may even get a little frustrated with the truth you've been hiding from yourself. I believe all human behavior is a language, whether it's through your child's behavior, your health, or a relationship. And when we learn to listen instead of react, we begin to understand what it truly means to feel alive and in control. It's time to put your big girl pants on and find your brave. Let's go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am back today to discuss education. I have been sitting on this question for a while now. I live in Canada, so here in Canada, well, in my province anyways, we start after Labor Day in September. I know a lot of states across America have started already, and in other countries, it might even be winter for you. You may even be in a completely different season. This is such an interesting time in history where globally we are not all experiencing the same thing, but in some form or another we have been affected by the same thing. And also, for some of us, we may be annoyed and tired of hearing the term COVID, pandemic, and others may be living and breathing the aftermath of this every single day. We are all in the same storm, but in very different boats. So understand that my opinion comes from my belief system and also my experience where I am in my life today. If this happened to me 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I would be coming from a very different state of mind and from a very different experience. And if this happened 5 years from now, I too would be in a different state of mind and a different experience. So understand that wherever you are hearing getting your, I don't even want to call it media, be very mindful of who you are getting it from. And although myself, as the leader of this community, who coaches women to take back control of their lives and also talks about my own personal story, I have put myself in a position where people actually listen to me. And this is leadership. When you have influence and your words matter, you begin to realize that how you show up in the world matters. Now, let me repeat that. When you begin to realize that you have influence, you begin to think of how you show up in the world. I know I did not repeat myself the exact same, but you get what I'm saying. My point is, if you are a woman, you have influence. You may not think you have influence because you are in a position, you might be in a position where you're like, well, Heather, nobody listens to me, or I'm just, right? And I'm using air quotes. I'm just this person, or I'm just that person. You do not have to have a podcast to create influence for people. You do not need to have a business to create influence for people. You as a human being create influence on a daily basis, especially if you are a mother listening to this. Your whole home, your home is the ecosystem, and you are the Mother Earth of this home. Now, I wanted to talk about education because this is a hot topic right now. My boys are 15, 10, and 7, which is going into grade 9, grade 6, and grade 3. And I have very different beliefs around education than probably most people or the average individual. My children all go to Roman Catholic. I live in Canada. We have a Catholic school board, like a Catholic public education. And it's also French. Now, in Canada, it's very different than the United States. We just do things very, very differently. So we have public and private schools. Where I live, we do not have a lot of private schools. And so there's just so many different things to take into consideration. Also, I did say that my children go to a religious school. I am not Roman Catholic. I grew up that way. And also religious-based education and curriculum is very, very different than what it used to be, meaning it is more open and diverse, and there's also pros and cons to that. But I digress. My point is, education is different wherever you are in the world. Now, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because if you're not freaking out about education, you're going to be freaking about the vaccine, and if you're not freaking out about the vaccine, you're going to be worried because the wind changed directions. What you resist and persist in your life will grow bigger until it explodes in your face. I have seen article after article after article after article getting triggered myself about how women cannot do both during the pandemic. They cannot educate their children and they can't have a full-time job. And I'm here to tell you, no fucking shit. Why is this just bringing light now to the educational system? Why, like mainstream media, because of COVID, is now shining a mirror, and this, I'm talking about women's rights and women's mental health. But as we've seen during COVID, everything that was not sustainable is now coming to the surface, right? But people have always been living this way, except it wasn't in mainstream media. Now, the media does a great way of brainwashing us. And if you've ever been on a silent meditation retreat, you have no stimuli, you have no media, you have no phone, you can't even talk to other people. So my whole point of today's podcast is I want to ask you, who are you without your stories? Who are you without your fear? Who are you without your worry? Like, do you even know how you would show up in the world if you weren't worried about your children's education? So I've been having conversations, one-on-one private conversations with my clients, the clients inside of my mastery program, my Soul Elite program, and a lot of these women through COVID had said, Heather, I have gone through this experience like night and day compared to who I was on the other side because of what you have taught me. And a lot of them have said, I've actually felt guilty because I'm not suffering like a lot of my friends. I'm not challenged in my mind with decisions. I'm not stressed out like they are. And I always ask them, why? What is different about you? And they said, you've taught me how to take back control of my thoughts. You've taught me how to feel in control of my mental energy. And one, that's exactly what I teach inside the Mastery Coaching Program. And two, you too can have this. I want you to know that we all have to make uncomfortable decisions. We all have to make tough decisions. We all have to face things. We all have to, I've heard of people having to change schools. I've heard of schools not reopening. I've heard of, parents just saying, I need to send my child back to school if it's available because I need childcare. And there is so much shame and judgment around this. And I just want to say to everybody, stop. Stop judging your female neighbors. Stop judging your sisters. Stop judging parents who are doing the best that they possibly can. And then there's a whole school of homeschoolers out there who have been doing this for a long time. And yeah, maybe we're being pushed into something that we're resisting. Maybe we're being pushed into something that we don't want to do. Maybe it wasn't supposed to be this way, right? Maybe we've been hanging on so tightly to a plan, a process, or the idea that when my kids go back to school, then I will have space. And that may be your reality, and it may not be your reality. So I don't want to share what we are deciding to do as a family for education because I don't think it's relevant. I really don't. I will tell you, though, that COVID and this pandemic has, what it has personally given me, I cannot talk about my husband or anyone else or even my children, is the opportunity to say, stop allowing a system, an educational system, rule your freedom. What do I mean by that? For many, many years, I've had thoughts around wanting to create freedom in my life, being able to travel with my family, being able to say, what do you want to learn? And also not having to rebuild my children's self-esteem after it has been stripped away through academics. I want my children to enjoy learning. I want my children to thrive off of wanting to learn. It took me years to recondition myself to go, what do I want to learn? This is exciting. What's next for me? Rather than a system that is stressing children out, causing mental health issues, and, squashing their self-esteem and putting people in a schedule and a paradigm that is not serving. And whatever aspect of this feels good to you, continue with it. And whatever aspect of it feels not so good to you and you're like, I just got to do this to survive, then do that. You are not a failure. But here's one thing I've been telling myself as a parent lately. Are my children loved? Do my children know that they are loved? Do they hear that from me? I love you. Do they hear that from me? Do they feel safe in our home? Are they encouraged to play? Are they fed? Then I am doing my job. If my child can say to me, I feel safe and I feel loved and I feel accepted for who I am and whoever I'm going to be, whoever I choose to love, whatever gender I want to identify as, whatever career path I want to choose, what my haircut looks like, what clothes I wear, as long as my children feel seen, heard, and understood, my job is done. My job is done. I legit do not care if my children do not pick up a book for the next 12 months. If my children know that they are safe and loved, I have accomplished something that probably most children on this planet never receive. Which is knowing that they have at least one parent that has their back. I want to repeat that again. And I don't really know why it's getting me emotional. If my children know that they are loved and safe and accepted, my job is done. Then education becomes easy. Then my children want to learn. There's no pressure. Yes, I can say, come on, it's time to do this. There can be some resistance, and I can help them push through the resistance. But imagine a world where every child felt safe. Imagine a world where every parent knew how to manage their own emotions and stopped projecting their own insecurities and lack of worthiness onto their children. Imagine a world where every child did not need to be begged for love. Imagine a world where a child felt safe while they were surfing the internet. Imagine a world where a child didn't need to use the internet for a form of connection. So my podcast for you today, I wanted to do it on education and what decision you should make and the conversations. And honestly, I was even putting together a panel, and I was going to invite everybody to a Zoom call. And I thought, we are all in similar boats. We're all in different boats. We're all in different boats, having completely different life experiences. You know deep down the decision you need to make. The truth is, you're going to be judged for it regardless. You're going to be judged if you send your children to school, and you're going to be judged if you keep them home, and you're going to be judged if there's anything in between that is abnormal. Whatever this pandemic has taught you, and maybe you have had deep loss during this time, and it has literally broken your heart to pieces. Loss of people, jobs, who knows? I want you to know that if you are telling your children you love them and they believe you, and you authentically are trying your best to create a deeper connection with them, you are doing it right. And if something is screaming at you and saying, please pay attention to me, if something is so out of alignment in your life, I want you to know it doesn't need to be that way. And I want you to know that if you feel pressure, you are the only person putting that pressure on yourself. You are allowed to feel good. You are allowed to make decisions that maybe other people do not understand why. You are allowed to push the envelope and trust yourself, even if you don't trust yourself, but to test out your trust muscles. So my challenge for you is to make a decision on education based on what your soul and the little voice inside of you is saying to do, not what the world wants you to do. And I also challenge you to stop watching media. I challenge you to put your phone down. I challenge you to just be with your family. I challenge you to sit with your thoughts, sit with your worry, sit with your fear, and not act on it. Just sit with it. I challenge you to be. Because it's in that place, the place that I call the brave zone, where you're going to stop sacrificing yourself. And you're going to realize that you had the answer all along, but you were looking somewhere else to find it. All right. This is your call to action to challenge yourself. I have 2 requests of you. 1, I want you to challenge yourself. And then I want you to send me a private message on Facebook. Nope, I lied. On Instagram. You can find me on Instagram at HeatherChauvin_. I just hit 10K followers. Look at me. Woohoo. I'm legit now. So if you send me a private message, I want to know, what is that? What is that challenge that you're giving yourself, especially around this education piece? You can be worried about it. You could not be worried about it. And if you're not, I'm so proud of you. And if you are, ask yourself why. Can you just make a decision and move on, knowing that you're doing the best you possibly can and there are no right or wrong answers here? And lastly, if you are ready to jump into the deep end, if you are ready to make shit happen, if you are so done feeling out of alignment, I invite you to fill out the application for Mastery or Mastery 2.0 Business. There are two different. One is personal and one is professional. So if you are a business owner and you're ready to take it to the next level, you may be a good fit for Mastery 2.0 Business. And if you are just looking for personal clarity and to find that alignment in your parenting, in your relationships, your time, your money, your energy, Mastery may be a good fit for you. All you have to do is simply fill out the application. It's heatherchauvin.com/takebackcontrol. My last name is spelled Chauvin, CHAUVIN, heatherchauvin.com/takebackcontrol. Once you fill out the application, I personally review it, and then I will follow up and get you on the call or get you on the phone for an intro call with somebody on my team. Either way, all you have to do is take the next step, trust the process, trust life, and trust yourself.